Hi, I'm Dennis Ostrander with Amazing Honey. Over the past few years, I've been studying bee vacuums and swarm traps. And I have found that most of the bee vacuums I see on YouTube are either a bucket design or a box design. The modified ones all are kind of related to Langstroth design. So what I've come up with is a safe bee vacuum combined with a swarm trap. And I call it the Colony Collection System. And I'll be showing that to you here today. But first I want to say a couple of thank yous to some mentors, whether they know it or not. The first is Monty Strunk. He is the suburban sodbuster. He is a specialist in the Layens hives and also a pretty knowledgeable source for just about anything bees. And also Frederick Dunn. I would probably call him Dr. Frederick Dunn, but I think he's just a very enthusiastic man with a lot of knowledge and abilities. And he is the best bee photographer you'll ever see. And he has knowledge about bees that is second to none. So thank you to both of those guys because they kind of inspired me to do this. So what this is no dumping of bees. It's specialized for Layens people, because in the end, you can just take the frames out of this and put it in your Layens hive. So thank you, Monty. Thank you, Frederick. And I want to finish up here with one thing that I'm not, and that's a carpenter. Those two guys are. This is something that if I can build it, you can too. So let's take a look at what I call the Colony Collection System. And we'll start with this little device right here. It's actually a way for me to test the vacuum before I actually go and try and suck up a colony or get a cutout or anything like that. It's just a simple vacuum gauge, and this is a no-shock water volume gauge, which will measure the suction. And everything I've studied says that you want your vacuum not to exceed like 4 to 5 on this scale. So that's what I've used, and that's what I've tested, and it's worked really fine. Now this is a Frankenstein operation for sure. In fact, right here, that is a pipe reducer for a tailpipe that I modified. This rubber section right here is a PVC connection, a 2-inch PVC connection that I picked up at the local hardware store. Connected it to a 2-inch PVC T with a cap, and then I tapped it so that I could mount the gauge. And of course you have this section over here. Now the way I use it is I put it as close to the nozzle as I can, and I will connect the hose to the box and the vacuum, and then I can test all these different types of nozzles. What I've found is that the best way it works for me is using this 2.5-inch hose. I've put some adapters on the end that you can get it at any hardware store or Menards or Lowe's or Walmart or whatever. This one in particular, I call it the slinky version because it'll expand to 12 feet and it maintains its shape, and it's just easily done. I picked the Milwaukee Pack Out Vacuum. It's a dual speed vacuum, and it has the hose attached right there to it. You just pull it off and it comes out and goes all the way around here. And then it will go into here and make a really tight seal. When I'm all done, I can just put it back together again and put it in the truck and take off. You'll see the dials on the front. The bottom box is where the vacuum is established, and on top of that is a screen so the bees cannot fall into where the vacuum is, and it kind of spreads it out. These two dials here, the yellow one, is when I convert this into a swarm trap. I use that section, and this is just an extra air adjustment dial. I have a hive gate on top that I put the hose into and shut it up when it's all done. One of the unique features of this is the plexiglass top. I thought about that I wanted to be able to watch the bees as I was collecting them and see how they were being impacted as they entered into the box. I just took a piece of felt that I had laying around. I used it for car speakers and so on and so forth. And as the bees come in, they'll hit the back of that, drop to the bottom, and then they can go down into the box itself. Now these are Layens frames. The two outside ones, one here and out here, are standard Layens frames that I have foundation, a couple of old comb pieces. The other 5 in there are, I would call them modified. I've tried to put a Langstroth top so that they could just go right down through there and get on the Layens frame, and when I put them into the hive, it's a pretty simple procedure. They can get up through there, but I have a plexiglass top on the areas of my Layens hive, and it's a observation port for the most part, and it's worked out really well so far. I have taken, let me see if I can get this off here. And you can see that there's a frame that sits on top of the box there. And I've added a seal around this area here, and also some clamps, so that when I do put it on there, I can pull it down tight and pull it into the seal here, and it creates a really good vacuum. Quick look inside here. Let me pull the frames. You can see this is some old comb that I had left over from extracting the honey this year. I'll put probably about 2 or 3 inches of foundation on the top, and that way the bees will think it's more like a swarm trap, and they can decide that they want to live in there. If you look down at the bottom, you see the screen, and there's almost 2 inches of gap between the bottom of the Layens frame and the screen on the bottom, which gives them more room if you collect a larger hive or have more bees that you're looking at. This is easily loaded up in about 2 or 3 minutes. That's really the whole system right there. Throw it in the back of the truck, plug it in, and the Milwaukee shop vac has the 2 speeds on this end right here, high and low. It'll run for 30 minutes on low or more, depending on the battery size. I use a 5 amp battery from Milwaukee, and on high about half that time. Now, I've made the dimensions the same as the swarm trap I showed you earlier, and this is the lid from the swarm trap. And when I'm all done and have the bees collected, I take off the plexiglass and put on the regular swarm trap lid here. And I know I only got one hand here, so I can't get it totally sealed for you there, but that goes in like that. And then I put the strap across the top like I would with my normal swarm trap, and then I can let the bees kind of live in there for a while until I'm ready to take them to their new home. And it just gives you a lot of extra time, and it just converts it into a swarm trap. So for those of us that have Layens hives, this is my way of collecting bees with a bee vacuum if I need to, and also operate as a swarm trap and not have to get into a big hurry, and I never have to dump bees. So that's it. I'll give you a quick demonstration of what it sounds like and looks like when I put it together here in the next segment. I've tried to lay this out so you can see how simple it is on the tailgate of my vehicle. The hose is attached up here. The vacuum hose just goes over there and goes in, and you still have a little extra room if you need to. If you need more hose than the 12-foot that's in this area, you can just go and grab a hose off your shop vac, which I did here. And this is actually my favorite nozzle right here. Now I'm going to show you how I measure the vacuum. I'm going to put the pack out on low volume, and you'll see what the vacuum gauge does. Okay, we're on low volume rather. And if I cover up the nozzle here, you can see I can increase the vacuum accordingly, clear up to -6. They say that's about the maximum you ever want to try and suck bees up with. And you notice by using the bigger hose, I don't have to have as much vacuum, and I actually get a lot more volume. So I'm going to, I've scraped up some dead bees to show you because it's the middle of the winter here. And I want to show you how they go into the box. Okay, I've laid some dead bees out here. I want to show you this. I've left the vacuum gauge attached. And first though, I'm going to show you how it sucks up the bees on low volume. And next I'm going to take these bees here. They're all dead bees, mind you, so they, well, they're dead bees. And then I'm going to try and show you how they go into the box. And I'm leaving the vacuum gauge still attached to it just to show you what that is. Okay, I got to find my hose here. I need another hand. Okay, I'm going to put this up here where you can see them coming into the box. And I'm going to start sucking them up. Okay, and I've got all of the bees, and you can see how they come into the vacuum chamber. And if those were live bees, they would go right down into the bottom of the box. Like I said, I need one more hand here, and I'll put it up on high. And this is on high. I'm out of bees to catch here. Yep, I've run out of bees. So there it is, the colony collection system. I forgot to mention one thing. This box, it was built by Monty Strunk, the suburban sodbuster. You can get it on his website. I copied the dimensions on my box so the lids would interchange. So thank you very much for watching, and remember, if I can do it, so can you.